Welcome everybody. It is I Matsuda here. Here I am joined with Josh Joshi Howard, and today we're going to be casting for Overdrive League Gold. Today's match we have Anarchy versus Bluebird. How are you doing today, Josh?
I'm doing great. I'm looking forward to how these two teams interact as we jump right on into Champion Select. We already see some interesting things coming out. At this level of play, it's a much different category of top laners that are really prioritized, and the York ban is not something you tend to see competitive, but as you start going through all the different ranks, it becomes way more powerful as teams have less tools in their inventory to really deal with the split push.
Yeah, that's very true. I think York actually had a really huge nerf a couple patches ago in terms of his ghouling, so that really shut him down. But the ban might just be a target ban towards champion pools. That's what we can safely assume. We see the Leona and LeBlanc taken out from both Anarchy and Bluebird here. LeBlanc being a consistently good mid laner.
We've seen how strong LeBlanc can really be at Worlds recently, just being able to find some solo kills with some pretty impressive damage, especially against a lot of the meta champions like the Syndra. But as we continue to go through into it, the Leona and Irelia also getting taken off the table. Most of these champions being banned out by Anarchy, not at the tippy top of the meta, but still powerful champions nonetheless, whereas Bluebird is a little bit more focused on making sure that they take away strong champions from their opponents. So we'll have to see how Anarchy is going to respond to this. They do have the first pick. I'm excited to see what's coming out. There's so many priority picks still available. Aatrox, Urgot, as we've talked about in the past, still very powerful picks that you can play both in the mid lane and in the top lane. But it looks like instead they're going to be locking in the Alistar.
Yeah, it's really interesting. You pick up Alistar first, and it might just be to secure a certain lane. I don't really know what Alistar complements often. I just see Varus and Alistar often. I think they're a really good combo together. Might just be something they want to get before Bluebird picks it up themselves, and then we see the Braum hover, and it is locked in for Bluebird.
And the Alistar, it doesn't really need specific lane partners to work well with. This champion is just so strong, brings so many tools to the table. The only thing that they're lacking is ranged auto attacks, but Braum doesn't have those either, as they are going to be picking them up. You're going to be very happy with this Alistar overall. And as they lock in the Skarner, it's still looking pretty good so far. Anarchy finds one priority pick. Bluebird finds two picks that are good, but not necessarily at the tippy top of the meta once again. So Anarchy still has a lot of options if they want to be picking up these incredibly strong champions for their solo laners. But we'll have to see what they lock in. Instead, they're going to be locking in the Gragas with the support already picked up in the Alistar. I have to imagine this is probably going over to the bully in the top. Excuse me, not the bully, Athena in the jungle.
Yeah, I mean, you could always flex the top lane or support with Gragas, but we already see the Alistar, so it could just go straight down into the jungle for Athena. And then we see Ari locked in. Ari having a lot of winning matchups. She doesn't really have a bad matchup in the mid lane. So it's a nice pickup for Anarchy. It's really just comes down to who's controlling the champion at this level of play here.
And Nunafan picking it up is looking very bold with that R. It's going to be going into the Ziggs, one of Ari's better matchups. I do like this pick. It hasn't translated a lot into the professional scene just quite yet because it is so reliant on individual playmaking that you don't necessarily play around your team quite as much. So I'm excited to see how they are able to bring it into the rest of the game. But as we get into second phase of pick and bans, Lucian already taken away. Want to make sure that Anarchy doesn't have this strong early game AD carry to play with, but there are still plenty of other options, and a Garen's banned out as well.
Yeah, you
That's not
gotta
something
ban
I
out that
expected.
Garen. Yeah, man. You gotta throw out the respectful Garen ban, I guess. Yeah, I can't really justify the Garen ban, but it exists and we're gonna deal with it today.
Overall, Anarchy is giving a lot of respect to Bluebird's top laner Shanghai. I wonder if that'll come back to bite them later on. That is three major bans, excuse me, two so far, but we'll see in just a moment. The third ban against the Urgot will be coming out in just a moment. And with all of these taken away from Shanghai, we'll have to see how deep his champion pool actually extends, as we've seen so many things taken off the table. But they do have the opportunity to counterpick him something, or they can choose to just pick his champion pool right now. Don't let Anarchy find a better matchup for themselves, but they are going to lock in the Zaya for their bot lane.
Yeah, they pick up the Zaya. At this point, there's not a lot of the really strong champions band out there in this picks and ban phase. I think Sion's still up on the table, and a lot of the other strong meta champions like Kaisa are still up as well. So curious to see if actually never mind, she was banned. Whoa, I'm trolling, guys. But
Come on.
there's still a lot of options on the table. You have Aatrox as well. Just there's a lot of variety, but we'll see what Anarchy's gonna pick up. They are gonna lock in the Varus. Varus and Alistar bot lane. I already told you, man. It's a
Yeah,
nice
the
bot
level
lane.
6 all in from these guys is insane because you don't even need to do it in the lane. You can go underneath the turret as well with the Unbreakable Will, but they're going to lock in the Zac. All right, that just has to mean that this Gragas is going to the top lane, going over to the bully as I misspoke earlier. So I'm excited to see how this is actually going to match up, but there is an opportunity for a counter pick coming out from Shanghai, and I'm excited to see what it is that they are going to be picking for themselves there. They're hovering the Trundle. That's pretty interesting as they are going to be hovering that. It looks like it is going to get locked in. So we're going to have a Gragas versus a Trundle in the top lane. That's not a matchup you tend to see very often. I do have to give the early lane pressure over to the bully. Hopefully, he'll be able to move around and support the rest of his team with the lane priority. But as this game starts to get longer, Gragas just becomes this ball of stats with an ultimate, and Trundle's going to be able to present a ton of threat to their team as he steals away all of the stats that the bully has worked so hard to build up.
Yeah, Trundle versus Gragas matchup. The early game is definitely in the favor of the bully as well, but as you said, as he stacks up more stats, it just makes Trundle's ultimate a lot more better. There's a lot of value, especially coming as seeing as the fact that he has three ultimate targets. You can either ult the Zac, the Alistar, or even the Gragas. Primarily, I'd assume the Gragas, who's going to be just stacking MR and armor.
The big thing that you have to think about is how these guys are going to be building around with that in mind. They do have the Gragas, but a lot of his tankiness comes from that W, which gives damage reduction rather than increased magic resistance and armor. So using Trundle Ultimate is actually not as effective against that champion as you might expect. Same thing exists for Alistar. So if you have to pick a single target to ultimate to get the maximum value off of that subjugation, it's definitely going to be Athena Zac, who is going to be building that armor and MR for you to steal. Zac doesn't have any base damage reduction that he's going to be getting out of his kit. He has to get it from items.
Yeah, you do have a fair point. And looking at the mid lane matchup, seeing as Nunafan has a huge advantage, seeing as it's the Ari versus Ziggs matchup, are we expecting for Techo 8 to try to just hold out the mid lane and just kind of hope that he survives to the point where he is able to just look for objectives, as that's essentially what Ziggs' job to do, is to be the demolitionist.
You really have to expect Ziggs to play a little bit farther back. If you can see in the game, Unifan actually going with the electrocute, the rebirth of the Thunderlord is going to give them a lot of early trading power. While as Tekko with the Arcane Comet, just trying to keep himself safe. He's going to be there to wave clear later on, and he's got a very strong front line to play around as the game starts to get longer. So I'm expecting to see Tekko 8 play much safer overall.
Yeah, as we are loading into the Rift here, I'm gonna go ahead and call out the teams. Blue side, we have Anarchy with the Bully playing Gragas in the top lane. SG Athena playing Zac in the jungle. Nunafan playing Ari in the mid lane. Viper Fang and Bang Bus Driver playing Varus and Alistar in the bot lane.
And their opponents as they dance around is going to be Shanghai's Trundle up in the top lane, Arkham Avalon in the jungle on the Skarner, Tekko 8 Ziggs in the mid lane, Delzinor Zaya in the bot lane, and supported by Wild's Brong. He throws out the Q. That's so rude. What is
He's a
even
wrestler,
happening?
man. It's all part of the script.
Oh, I see, I see. It is all part of the story, making sure everyone's having a good time. But as we are going to be jumping away to their own buffs, we're not seeing anything particularly exciting. Zac starting at his red with the help of his friends. They aren't going to be starting at the Raptors, as we have seen more and more junglers doing once again in recent times. But neither team getting a whole lot of vision in the jungle. We see that the bully throws down his vision ward in the top half of the river. So that will help spot out Arkham Avalon if he moves over to that. But as we do start to finish up our buffs, both bot lanes just getting a little bit late to lane. And that means that with no extra priority from either side, we have to expect Wild and Delzinar to have a little bit of priority as they get there just slightly faster.
Yeah, already there ahead. They have a bit more lane control already, but doesn't seem so bad for Viper Fang. I know the bot lane, Viper Fang and Bang Bus Driver are consistently really good in ODL Gold League, so a lot of high hopes for them, seeing if they're able to perform as high as I expect them to.
But you have to pay attention to these junglers as Athena and Avalon find each other. The Scuttle Crab does end up going over to Skarner. That having that extra priority in the bot lane helps a lot.
Yeah, already there's a lot of aggression from the Zion Braum bot lane, trying to put up as much damage onto Viper Fang and Bankless Driver, forcing them to play back away from the minion wave here, and it allows for Zai to safely CS.
As we see that we move our attention to the top half of the map, Athena is going to be picking up this top lane Scuttle Crab. I think it's a little bit of a mistake for Arkham to go back and pick up his own wolves, knowing that he has the dueling advantage in the top half of the map. He has priority, but Bang Bus Driver going in.
Oh, the headbutt Pulverize connects onto two members, but Bang Bus Driver's in a bad spot here. The wheels on the bus are going round and round as he makes his escape, and this bot lane is almost going to be taken down from the side of Blue Birds.
But no Ignite on Wild. He picks up the Exhaust instead, and that prevents them from finding the last tick of damage. They could have found a kill there, but they do get the heal out anyway. They're pushing this underneath their opposing turret, and they are going to be in a fantastic spot as they go longer. But Shanghai in the top lane getting some good damage. Shouldn't be able to find a kill unless Bully goes back in. Not finding enough.
Trades like that are really in favor of Gragas, because if he does take damage, he kind of just pops his W, gets the heal, and then he body slams you, gets the grass proc, and walks away because they're still stunned for the duration. So it's really beneficial for the Gragas.
Misses Q in the bot lane. Are they going to find a stun? They won't. But the big thing that we have to pay attention to once again in the top lane is the Bully has so much more mana. He's got the Corrupting Potion and the Biscuits, whereas Shanghai has been using up so much of his mana pool to get the early push on, and it's not even rewarded with the Scuttle Crab. Arkham Avalon didn't quite read it correctly, and this means that even though Shanghai had an early push, they weren't able to turn it into anything. Trundle has a lot of sustain as well, especially on this tormented grounds, trying to find the extra bit of healing. But since he has so little mana, he is a potential gank target, as we see that Athena is coming up. I don't expect to see a dive this early on in the game, but just threatening it is still something to be afraid of.
Yeah, Shanghai is eating another barrel to the face, has to be careful. As we do see Athena still kind of camping it out. I know Shanghai has vision.
Oh, they are going for it.
It's getting dived. Elastic Slingshot misses, forces the flash out of Shanghai, but they body slam him. First blood goes over to the Bully.
Well, they do find the dive underneath the turret. They get the flash from their opponent. And that was a level 3 dive from Athena. He didn't even have the level 4 slingshot. He was definitely in vision range, but didn't react to it in quite the right time. Ends up going back to base, courtesy of their opponents. And now he has to use his teleport, going for both the Ruby Crystal and a Longsword. No actual mana or health sustain coming out in addition to what he has in his base kit. And that's not something you're super excited about as a Trundle. You want to be finding early advantages, but giving over the first kill is not how that works.
Yeah, it's not so bad. The Bully wasn't able to shove out the wave in an optimal position, so Trundle doesn't miss much. They're quite even in CS, with the main wave pushing over to the Bully, so the Bully's going to catch up anyways and still be ahead in CS. But it's not so bad for Shanghai. Shanghai still has some hope for himself. The Bully's just going to have to keep up with the aggression of Anarchy. Still wants to keep Trundle out of the game.
And it's not that hard to keep Trundle out of this game. If Trundle in the top lane doesn't really have an opportunity to move around the map and help out his teammates, he never really starts popping off, and he's reliant instead upon having a big target to ult. As we take a look around the map so far, we're already seeing Athena get out-farmed pretty heavily, but Skarner is fighting him once again.
Yeah, both junglers mean as we see top laners starting to brawl out. Level 6 on the Gragas, explosive cast is available, but the pillar keeps him safe. Shanghai is able to survive, but the barrel roll connects. The slow is going through. The Bully's gonna get the grass frog, and there's a stun, and he's gonna go ahead and give him another clap on the back and say, "You're dead, buddy."
Once again, having no mana on this Trundle is hurting him so badly. He's so focused on trying to get the push into the opposing turret that he's not able to fight back. He had the ultimate available, but wasn't able to put it on his opponent, get that instant chunk of health, extra resistances. He might have been able to turn that since the Bully was fighting in his own lane. But in the bottom half of the map, we still have to pay attention to the fact that Skarner, with a pretty significant CS advantage, should have an opportunity to get level 6 relatively soon and start making impact on the rest of the map.
We see the headbutt towards the wall from the Alistar here as they are looking for a trade. It's in heavily favor. They're not level 6, but doesn't matter. Viper Fang just pops the W and gets the extra damage off on the Q, takes the kill off of Wild.
And no summoners used on either side in that exchange, not respecting the damage coming out from Viper Fang. These guys are starting to build up a pretty significant advantage of their own, already up about 2 waves of farm, and finding a kill for the Vars. Are they going to look for this dive? That would be pretty greedy without knowledge of where Skarner is on the map. With a 1,500 gold lead already getting built up for Anarchy, it's going to be very difficult for their opponents to come back into this game, especially as all of their leads that they had built up before are starting to fall away.
Yeah, it's still this top lane looks like Bully's having a very comfortable time here. Goes for the body slam, but there's a huge mini wave. Has to be careful, doesn't fight in this scenario here, but it's gonna go ahead and let Shanghai get another auto off as we do see Skarner's still bot side, but he's clearing out his camps. But Viper Fang's in a bad position here, knocks up Dalzanar as Wild is still trying to get the concussive blows off on Viper Fang. Misses it, does not connect, but Chains of Corruption go through as Viper Fang gets the kill, and they're looking for the Xayah. Dalzanar is forced to heal. Bang Bus Driver is looking for the headbutt. Pulverized has the cooldowns coming up, and he does get the stun through. Skarner is here looking for the ultimate. He's not level 5, level 6. Forces the flash anyways from Alistar, and that's going to be the end of that skirmish in the bot lane.
You have to feel so bad for Wild there. Coming around, he just dies, comes back out of base, and instantly sent back to the fountain once again. 2 kills and a 2 creep wave lead for Viper Fang is going to make him so dangerous as we start looking into the rest of the game. They're going to get this huge wave to crash into their opponent's turret, and while we see that Dalzanar comes back with a BF sword and 2 long swords, Viper Fang might have enough for an entire Storm Razor or Blade of the Ruin King as he comes back. He buys the components and the boots, and that's a big lead coming out.
Yeah, for his back, that's really feels good, man. Coming back with the Bilgewater Cutlass and the recurve bow, it's pretty nice and a lot more valuable as we see the Bullies putting so much damage on the Shanghai. Forces the Trundle ultimate as Trundle's just going to try to get the health back that he's lost during that trade.
And as we pay attention to the top lane, we also have to look in the jungle. Athena, now with level 6, is completely caught up against Avalon's Skarner, and this is such a bad look. That was their only place that they had an advantage still going on in the game, and now they might be losing this fight. Here comes the Bully.
Yeah, the Bully is looking for assistance here as Body Slam keeps him away from the Blast Cone. Well, Explosive Cast says, no, you're not going to take the Blast Cone anyways, as Bank Bus Driver's looking for the trade here. Viper Fang's going to collapse on from Wild. The Custom Blow flashes over the Braum. Ultimate Glacial Fissure misses as Dalzanar's having to walk away. Viper Fang able to get the damage, trying to kite out the Braum. Should be able to get enough damage. Forces the flash anyways. Nothing has been achieved here from Anarchy. No one has died, but Viper Fang survives.
No one died in that, and that's incredible. But the big thing is we have to pay attention once again to the fact that Viper Fang is going to be crashing another wave. Wild can't stick around here. Bang Bus Driver has his ultimate. That's a potential dive. They know that Avalon's in the top half of the map. If they want this, they can find another kill and deny all of this golden experience from their opponents. They see the Skarner. I'd like to see them go for it, but Athena kind of getting caught out a little bit. So if they go for it, and Bang Bus Driver is threatening.
Yeah, the Bullies here, they have to be careful. There is...
Nice.
Oh, unstoppable right there, folks, as we see Athena getting caught out. Roots and knocks them together as Bullies looking to keep up the damage. Here's Nunafan. Flash Charm on top of the Trundle, and Shanghai's most likely going to die here. Ignite is ticking, but Nunafan picks up the kill. Athena's trying to stay alive here as the Bully flashes in, and that's a killing spree on the Bully in this top lane.
Oh, they give a kill over to Techo. Is it over?
Oh, Techo, the Demolitionist forced the Explosive Cask away, or Explosive Satchel away from there. Able to get the kill on Athena, but that was a 2-for-1 in favor of Anarchy.
And this all comes down to the fact that Athena with the beautiful ultimate to deny the Impale coming out. No suppression was used, even though Arkham did throw out the ultimate. They weren't able to bring Athena back. They weren't able to bring him down, and it took him such a long time that by the time that Techo 8 got up there, Nunafan was already there with his own ultimate. Bang Bus Driver and Viper Fang taking the bot lane turret, forced to use the ultimate to disengage, but at only 12 minutes, these guys have already built up a 4,000 gold lead for themselves. There's not a whole lot left for Bluebird to do anything about this. They don't have a real lead in any single position, and as it starts to get into the mid game, when all the members of Anarchy are going to be spiking, they're going to need to wait for some serious mistakes.
Yeah, at this point, Teko's doing all right. He's quite even in CS. I don't know if you want your win condition to rely heavily on the Ziggs here. You really just want Zaya to be the sole force here, but Teko's doing his best as they are posturing themselves around this Mountain Drake, which would be really beneficiary on both sides,
We
especially on
see
the
that
Trundle.
We see that Shanghai does have his teleport if he does want to join, but if they were to go for the fight, I think it would be giving up way more than just the dragon. They can try and stall out this game for a while with the Ziggs in Season 4 when he was at the peak of the meta and being played almost every single game. That's what you would pick him for, but it's gotten a lot more difficult as we are in the current season. The Rift Herald on the table is something you can pick up to break through these turrets, even with heavy wave clear. The Baron buff makes it so difficult for Ziggs to do much of anything. And as the side of Anarchy is starting to move around, they're going to lose about half of their top turret. But they pick up the Mountain Drake, they're going to extend the gold lead, and Dalzinor and Wild for so far back. Viper Fang actually the same level as Shanghai up here in the top lane.
Yeah, it's quite insane. Shows how much of a lead the bully has over his opponent. If you're the same level as your AD carry as a top laner, a solo laner,
Ooh,
that's
Tecco.
very concerning. Tecco getting caught out. Not gonna get that much as Nunefang lands the charm, but Statue Charge is able to get the distance away from them. As we do see Mega Infernal Bomb go through, forcing the Ahri to Spirit Rush away from there. And that's going to be just about it. We see Arkham Elvelon positioning himself, but we see a dive going through. Shanghai's trying to collapse on Viper Fang, but trying to get as much damage done possible, but Viper Fang's going to be able to auto-attack Shanghai to death, and that's going to be a top turret going down over in Anarchy's favor.
And Bang Bus Driver took absolutely no damage in that engagement. We saw how many turret shots he took, but the Unbreakable Will is so strong. And Athena, this is pretty cheeky. Is he going to be able to get the smite? He doesn't have it up quite yet. He's just going to fight.
Yeah, gonna drag him over to his teammate, say, here, I brought you a jungler, would you like to keep him? As Archon Avalon, getting the stun away, is able to speed his way out. It's like playing Pokemon, you know? It's like, gotta catch them all.
Gotta catch them all. They do find it, and it is, they try to find the pet, but they're just going to settle for the little hamster blue buff, as they are going to back away 0, 6, and 2 between the top laner and the jungler from Shanghai and Avalon. Not a position you're super excited about, and the bully already with a completed Iceborne Gauntlet as the rest of his team is starting to hit the inner turret. Their only outer turret still standing is the one in the mid lane. Nunefan having some trouble bringing that one down, but it's no surprise it's going up against the Ziggs, and Avalon here does have the Predator.
Oh, looking for the engage. Shanghai is here. We see Athena, a classic shot into it, misses the Q, but that does not matter as Shanghai is so squishy, has no resistance to go up against the Varus and the Zac. From then on, as we see Wild maybe look for something, Elastic Point Shot does not connect, but they are going to get the second tier top turret.
And they're also going to get a Tecco.
Yeah, Tecco's a bad spot. Oh, don't step on. Okay, okay, he's good. He's good. Yeah,
So the
Tecco.
one thing,
Yeah.
well, the one thing I would like to see coming out from Anarchy right now is Viper Fang can be a little bit more aggressive with his corrupting chains. He's waiting for the rest of his team.
Oh, last excellent shot goes through. Impale on top of Viper Fang, but you're not able to get enough damage if their team's not here. And they're going to go ahead and get the kill off of Arkham Avalon here. As we see, the Zaya stuck having a match split push from the bully. That's not fun at all. You just want your AD carry to help you out in team fights, but if your top laner can't match against the enemy top laner, then that's what you have to invest in.
And the goal lead is so significant now for Anarchy. Sending Dalzinar anywhere is just an extra lane futility.
As we do see Bang Bus Driver in a bad spot, but we see Shanghai actually go and collapse into the Zac. TP is up. Is the bully going to save his Zac? Never mind. Yeah, that's a sad story for Athena there, but that's something that Bluebirds need. They need to find themselves a way out. They need to catch Anarchy out of position if they want to make a comeback here.
catching Athena is a good start to that, but trading the jungler for the mid lane turret is a trade that you will be happy to make every single time. As the side of Anarchy, they get the blue buff as well, and now we see that Bluebird starting to look over towards the Rift Herald. They need to find some objectives. There's so many turrets still standing for them to potentially get some gold out. They are going to be hitting the Rift Herald, and with everybody on a back cycle on Anarchy, they should be able to pick this up. The question is, where will they send it? Because they need to have a very effective usage of this Rift Herald in order to get some gold back. Just taking it off the table is nice so that your opponents can't break your inhibitor line. But with another dragon coming up, as we start getting closer to the Baron spawning, we don't know if it's going to matter, and there they go.
Yeah, Viper Fang almost getting the kill, is able to get the kill off of Teko here. 2v4 in that situation as Nunafan is looking for it. The charm does not connect, but Wild's in a bad spot. Meanwhile, Pulverize on top of Shanghai. They're going to go ahead and kill the 0-6 Trundle. I'm not sure if he's worth much gold, but if you're wiping out members of the enemy team off the map, that allows you guys to look for objectives, and that's what Anarchy's looking to do.
And they find 3 kills for the Rift Herald. The gold lead is still expanding in favor of Anarchy because the Rift Herald doesn't give you a whole lot of gold. It gives 100 to the killer, and that's it. And now we see that these guys are so strong. They're sending Bangless Driver to split push on his own. Who needs an AD carry or a top laner to help you out? This cow is so strong. As they continue to push in, they're going to be hitting the mid lane turret, and now only the base turrets left to crack on the side of Bluebird. I think they are going to have the tools to get it, but I would also like to see them play just a little bit slower, go pick up this next dragon, wait for the Baron to spawn. You have a 10,000 gold lead. Wait for it to spawn in about a minute and just sit there.
Oh. Athena does not connect with the elastic slingshot, a bit antsy there as we see Glacial Fissure go out, trying to get the zone impale on Viper Fang. As Athena's going to go ahead and drag out the Skarner right back into his team. So Viper Fang was nice and safe there, not able to get any more kills there, but they're going to settle with taking out the Skarner.
Is he going to find Teko? Yes.
Yeah, Unifan's going to help him out there as we see Athena dive. The Xayah Featherstorm goes out, but I don't think that's going to matter here. Actually, oh, the snipe from downtown. Dalzanar settling himself with a kill off of Athena.
Not a great look coming out from Bluebird right now as they're forced under turret once again. Viper Fang, again, still a little bit hesitant with the corrupting chains. They could definitely go much more aggressive. He's so safe. He's got such a strong front line in front of him that they can just get fights started. But they're going to be breaking open the inhibitor turret nonetheless. Or will they? Bangless Driver caught underneath.
Oh, has to be careful. Bangless Driver pops on Unbreakable, is not taking enough damage to get taken down as Viper Fang looks for another kill off of Wild. And Nunafan just doing so much damage as they have the boys but pushing down bot side. And they can look to maybe take this inhibitor or even go for this Ocean Drake if they'd like to.
They are pretty low as everybody is starting to come back up. There's actually still 13 seconds left on Wild and even longer on Shanghai. They're going to be backing away, pick up their opponent's jungle, take the red buff away. Now, one of the things I would have liked to see is as the Baron was spawning, they would just have 5 members standing on top of it because they will shred it so quickly. The Mountain Drake is helpful, but just the fact that they have this huge gold lead and their opponents can't contest, there's not a whole lot that Bluebird can do to stop them if they just start hitting the Baron as it spawns. But they're going to be backing away, grabbing another set of items for everyone, looking towards a nearly completed Rabadon's 2 items already done on Viper Fang as well. These guys are so strong, and really there's not a whole lot of bright spots as we take a look across the lanes to Bluebird. The only person who has a KDA that is 1 or better is Dalzanar, and he only has a single kill to his name. He's got a Storm Razor and a Zeal, where his opponent has a Blade of the Rune King against whose Rage Blade and a Zeal. He's an entire item up on his opponent.
Yeah, Dalzanar in a quite big dilemma there. Not enough gold there as we see a team to take away the blue buff from Viper Fang. That's not fun.
Unlucky.
But it is his jungle camp, so
he just needs the farm, man. But as they continue to move in, they're establishing vision control, taking away the Spire. They can just hit the Baron, honestly, at this point of the game. They're so strong, and it looks like they want to avoid doing that. They do have the Rift Herald pushing against them up in the top lane, but they don't want to throw. They just want to find this kill.
And looking for the kill on Shanghai. Force the flash, but explosive cast right back into your mid laner as Unifan picks up the kill. The Bully's in a really bad position. Impale on top. Drag him over under the turret, but the Bully's going to survive. Flash body slam away as Unifan's in a really bad spot. Featherstorm goes out, but Braum picks up the kill anyways. But meanwhile, mid lane, we see Viper Fang pick up the red inhibitor mid lane for Anarchy.
But they still are getting pushed against. There they go.
Oh, Viper Fang in a bad spot in front of the tanks here as we see Let's Bounce bounces him away from his AD carry as it's just cleanup duty for Viper and his team here as they're going to go ahead and ace Bluebirds and look to maybe end.
This game could potentially end. Rift Herald is going to be getting a second turret in the top lane, but it doesn't really matter when you're trading the second inner turret in the top lane for your Nexus turrets. Viper Fang with so much attack speed in. Looks like with Bang Bus Driver just dancing across from Shanghai, this should be game one going over very cleanly to Anarchy.
Yeah, don't worry. As we do see Bang Bus Driver gonna victory bell for himself here as they're gonna and burning all their cooldowns. That's what you gotta do.
Get all that farm.
Yep.
They're going to get the last couple of hits here. Bang Bus Driver getting rooted up, but takes so little damage from his opponent. They're actually going to be looking for a kill. Shanghai not going to go down before the Nexus does. But a pretty dominating performance coming out from Anarchy. There was not a lot of room for error from Bluebird, and unfortunately, the difference in the lanes proving to be so massive. We saw that the Bully was able to completely dominate Shanghai with the Gragas over the Trundle, and in the bottom lane, even in the 2v2, Wild and Dawson are not quite able to find the kills. I would have liked to see them take the Ignite next time because they did have a good fight. If they had Ignite rather than Exhaust, they definitely would have been able to finalize the kill onto Bang Bus Driver. But as it is, 24-4 in kills, they're going to really have to find a way to turn things around.
Yeah, definitely seems like it was a one-sided game there as we are hoping to see if Bluebirds can maybe turn it around for themselves, maybe look to sweep Anarchy out of the water.
But with that, we are going to take just a short break, so don't go anywhere as we get into the next game of Week 4 of Anarchy versus Bluebird here at Overdrive Gaming League.